This is a French friggin' name, man. Sorry to do this to you. Les Héritiers Saint-Genys Santenay, Premier Cru La Maladière. And I butchered that. French people, dead French people, are turning over in their graves right now based on that. But sounded good to you guys, right? That's the main thing. That's the main thing. So French. Sounded so professional. It's a big name. Big wine. Great wine. Great value. There's a lot going on here. Santenay. You know about? Okay, well, no, okay, sorry. Sorry. Rewind. Burgundy. Red Burgundy. Pinot Noir. Do you know about Santenay? Right? So you got the Côte d'Or, right? And the Côte d'Or is split into the Côte de Nuits and the Côte de Beaune. And in the Côte de Beaune, there's a bunch of appellations mostly known for white wine. The Côte de Beaune, the southern section of the Côte d'Or, is mostly known for white wine because you have the famous villages of Chassagne-Montrachet and Pouligny-Montrachet and Meursault and Saint-Romain and all these places. But there's always been really good red wine growing in the Côte de Beaune, right? When you think about Corton, Los Corton, Pernon-Vergelès, Beaune, these areas. But what's happened over the last 20, 30 years? Thank you, global warming. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. That's bad. Global warming, yes? No. Global warming's horrible. But for areas like Santenay, global warming, fire! And what's happening is these areas that were producing red wine in the Côte de Beaune in the southern part of Burgundy that were on the marginal edge of cool climate viticulture are suddenly blossoming. That extra 2 degrees, 3 degrees has created a scenario where these Pinot Noir grapes are ripening fully under the perfect conditions, right? So now areas like Santenay, Mercurey, Givry, these areas are encountering ripeness that like the best spots in the Côte de Nuits were exhibiting 30, 40 years ago. Gevrey-Chambertin and these areas it was a great vintage because the wine got to 13% alcohol naturally. What a vintage! Right? This is happening on the regular in these lesser known areas in the Côte de Beaune. Now, Santenay has always had a special place in the heart. I love Santenay. I love the wines from Santenay, both red and whites. This is the area, this is just south of Chassagne-Montrachet. So as you're heading south from Chassagne-Montrachet, you jump straight into Santenay. Beautiful village, quaint village, equally proficient with red and white wines now. But what really got me into Santenay was back in the 90s and early 2000s, I had a chance to taste a bunch of the great Pousse d'Or Santenay wines from the 60s. And these wines were incredible, as good as the Volnays from these top years, 69, 71, etc. And I knew that the potential was there for Santenay very, very early on. And then Santenay just keeps heading into the pocket, into the pocket, into the pocket. And see, no one wants to have this conversation because there is a hierarchy in Burgundy. And the hierarchy is getting kind of chucked on its head, right? As certain places that were the best places now are almost getting too warm and the terroir is getting cooked out of it, and places that were too marginal are now coming into their own as great terroir spots for Pinot Noir. It's all changing. We can ignore it, we can turn a blind eye, but fact of the matter is there are fabulous wines being grown in these lesser appellations now. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Case in point, Les Héritiers Saint-Genys. This is the project of Patrice Béguet, who was a Parisian restaurateur that said, enough of that stuff, I want even more travails in my life, so I'm going to buy a vineyard. Not the smartest call. Probably, what's easier, being a Parisian restaurateur or being a vigneron in the Côte de Beaune where hail and frost can wipe out your entire harvest in a week? I can't call it. He took one horrible situation for another. And and set up roots here. And he bought property in Chassagne, he bought property in Mercure, he bought a pre-existing domain that had some wonderful parcels, and then also had access to this fabulous Santenay, from La Maladière. Now, here you go, Santenay. What does that say on the label? What does that say? That says Premier Cru, right there. This is a Premier Cru vineyard. Let that sink in, huh? Premier Cru is kind of a big deal in Burgundy. This is a Premier Cru vineyard of the highest caliber, Maladier. And it gets its name from, okay, Maladier, maybe you've, like, malady. Oh, Patrick, do you have a malady?
No, I think.
Are you sick? Are you infirm?
No.
Okay, no, Patrick's good. But there were a lot of people close to this vineyard that weren't. There was a hospital close by this vineyard. And so Maladier, the vineyard, took its name from the fact that the infirm or the malady-ridden were close by this particular site. Now, Patrice, he has fabulous vines here. Half of his parcels were planted in the early 60s. So we're talking 60, 70 plus year old vines. And then the other half of his parcels were planted like 25 years ago. So a mix of mature and very old vines informed this wine. And it's the perfect mix because the younger vines, still pretty old, give this wine its energy and its vibrancy and its hum. And the old vines give this wine, it's like, tranquilo. Just, you're really excited right now. I need you just to keep it here and we're going to do our thing. And that combination is absolutely smashingly perfect. Spice box, but you feel the limestone. These are heavy limestone soils in Santenay with some serious, they kind of head down into the town, Maladier does. And so these pebbly limestone soils give this wine like instant rocks, but there's spice box behind. And then the fruit here, 22, warm vintage, red fading to black cherry here. So this isn't like a strawberry type thing. This is a powerful wine. The wines from this vineyard are usually powerful, tannic, capable of aging, and this wine is no exception. Yes, sir. Sorry. This wine has a presence on the palate, an absolute presence on the palate. It makes you take notice. There's some wines that are kind of like, okay, yeah, you're here, we're drinking, whatever, da da da. This wine says, hey, hey, hey. Makes you wake up, makes you, bah. It demands your attention, this wine does, in the best way. What a beautiful bottle of Burgundy. And you know what I love? I love the fact that guys like Stuart Pigott, who is the Burgundy editor for James Suckling, I know James Suckling, no, this isn't James Suckling reviewing this wine. This is Stuart Pigott, who actually has been around as long as James, almost. But his specialty has always been German wines, Austrian wines, Burgundy wines, always been his thing. And he is absolutely killing it because Honey Badger doesn't give a shit. So Pigott's going in and saying, hey, this wine's 98 points to me. This is special. He's not playing the hierarchy. He's not doing the Clive Coates thing. He's not doing the, of course the Musigny is better than the Chambolle, of course this is better than that, of course this is that, and blah, 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 blah. He's not doing that. He is tasting these wines and going like, that wine's amazing. I'm 98 on that. Legit 98. 98 points on this. And 98 because he frigging loved the wine. Is that a crime? Is that wrong? To sit there and go, I think this wine is amazing. These guys aren't going to pay for a seat at James Suckling Great Wines World. That's not what this is about. This is about legit looking at this wine, tasting this wine, swirling this wine and going, damn, this is great. And having the chutzpah to do that, right? It takes, there's a hierarchy in place, and Burgundy doesn't like you screwing with the hierarchy. Pigott's kind of going, meh, call it like I see it. 98 points on this. Fabulous score for an exceptional wine. An exceptional wine with an exceptional price. Premier Cru Burgundy with a 98-point score, to you, $49.98 a bottle. Right? Look at, no, Patrick made a face. And he's not even on camera, but if you could see his face, he made a face. That means it's serious. That means we're like serious value here. So basically $50 a bottle for Premier Cru Red Burgundy with a 98-point score from a great producer from old vines and a fabulous vintage. You should get some. Click, buy this wine. There's only 180 bottles available. This will go fast at this price. Trust me, I'm a professional. Like us. You'd like us. Patrick likes me. Oh, he does. Okay. And then subscribe. If you have the time, click on the subscribe button. Subscribe so you can watch all of our cool videos every day. We also call it like we see it. Hierarchies and history be damned. What's in the glass is what's in the glass. And what's in this glass is damn special. Cheers.